Okay, so now we're going to do a translation tessellation, and we're going to start with a square. So start by clicking on the segment tool and making a segment, then the arrow, and make sure you have all of it highlighted, both points and the segment. So double click up here to mark it as the center, transform, rotate 90 degrees. Then double click here to make that the center. Transform, rotate 90 degrees, then double click here and do it again. Okay, now we're going to make one of the edges jagged. So make a few points, and the more points you do, the more intricate your figure will be, which is better. But I'm doing a fairly simple one just for display purposes. So now we're going to mark our vector. We want this jagged piece to move over here. So we're going to go from left to right. So click the left, then the right, transform, mark vector. Then you just select everything that you just made. And then you go transform, translate. Then you make one of the other sides kind of jagged. And again, I'm just doing it simple so that it's quick. This time we want to translate it down, so we do from top to bottom. Mark that as the vector. Then highlight what you just did. Transform, translate. Okay, so now we've got our figure, so we can hide the original square. So select those segments, display, hide segments. So now you kind of play with this until you get a shape that you kind of like. Okay, so in the interest of time, mine is not going to be that great. Okay, I'm going to say this is some sort of animal, and this is his mouth, and his eye will go like here, and that's his nose, and he has some sort of spike on his head, whatever. So I'm going to color it, so hold down on that shape, pick the middle one, then select every point in order. It looks like it's not going to work, but it'll end up working. And when you get to the last one, double click, and then you can go to display color to change the color. Sometimes the color on this is kind of strange and doesn't turn out exactly like you want, so you may have to play around with that. I'm going to use the circle tool to make an eye. There, we'll call that his eye, but I don't want it green. I'll make it black. Okay, and now let's see here. I want all of these points to be smaller and not red. So I'm going to select all of them. And you can actually go hide points. I don't know why it didn't do these two, but that's easily fixed. I'm going to hide that one too. Interesting. Computers. What am I doing? Hide point. Okay, now let's see, I'll give it a nostril up here. That can be red, sure. Then you decorate it. So you can use line tools to decorate it, you can use circle tools, you can use this. So I'm just drawing junk on here because I just want to do it quickly. Okay, so now we want to tessellate. So you pick a point and you pick where that point would go to when you translate it over, when you slide it over. Then you go to Transform, Mark Vector, then you highlight the whole thing, and you translate. And then you do it several times. You need at least 18 of these little shapes. So I'd recommend going 5 or 6 across, and then like 4 or 5 down. Okay, so now we've got it across. And then if we want to go down, so we would take, for example, this point and this point and mark the vector. And then we would highlight the whole thing. And I have a kind of small screen, so it's a little strange. Transform, translate. And then do it again. And then do it a couple more times. Okay, and you see here how it was off the screen, so I wasn't able to get all of my segments. You will have a bigger screen at school, and you need to make sure that you get all of your segments so that it looks good, and it has all your, drawings and eyes and stuff on it. Okay, so now it needs to be colorful. So one way to make them different colors is to just select every other one. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you would need to. Go Display, Color, and then make it a different color. So you would do that for the whole thing. I'm just doing it for a little part of it in the interest of time. So then what you do, the last thing, is make your text box by clicking on the A over here. And you can pick a different font. Please pick one that's readable. So your name goes here. Actually, first title it. So, Ugly Things. It's not a great title. Then your name here, and your period. Then you need to go to Print Preview and see how it looks. This looks a little bit different on the computers at school. I'm doing this at home on my Mac laptop. Do Fit to Page, and then you can see how it looks. So if I were doing this to turn in, I would try to center this over it, and I would obviously fix this to make the different colors and to just make it nicer. But that's generally how you do it.